Awesome. Okay, we are recording. Again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, for joining much anticipated Bear meetup. I know we had to reschedule a couple of times, but finally we are able to make it. Everybody's here, and we are excited to talk to you today. Uh, just going to go over a few things before we get into the meetup. So I'm your moderator today. My name is Sandeep Deshmukh. I work as a customer success technical architect in MuleSoft. I'm based out of New York area, and we have co-organizers spread across the globally. Royston is covering APAC, Angel is covering EMEA, and Manik and I cover the AMER region. So again, thank you everyone for joining. If this is your first time joining our online meetup group, make sure that you are registered to the group so that you can get notifications for the upcoming events that we have on our group. So for the agenda today, what we are going to do is we are going to quickly go over some of the guidelines for the meetup. We're going to have some community updates, and then we are going to jump into a fireside chat with Leila, asking questions to Jeff on Bear's journey. Then Jeff is going to present a use case that Bear has implemented using MuleSoft. And finally, we're going to spend some time doing Q&A. Again, if you have any questions while we are doing interview or Jeff is presenting, feel free to post it in the chat. Someone can try to answer it in the chat, or we can take it at the end of the session. The recording of the session will be posted to Virtual Muley channel, and it will be also posted on the meetups page. So make sure that you check it out 24 hours later after the meetup. Again, once the meetup is over, link to get your feedback on the meetup. Please make sure you fill it out so we know what kind of events you're interested in and how we can make the events better. Just a community update, what's coming up in the near future. We are going to have a product roadmap webinar, which is customer facing. It's happening on August 25th. So if you're in AMER or EMEA region, I think August 25th will suit you better. But if you're joining from JPAC, I think August 27th, where it's happening at 9 a.m. Australian time. We'll have some product demos in that webinar, some new products like Composer for Salesforce, the Anypoint Data Graph that was recently released, and also Anypoint Service Mesh. So make sure that you're registered to the webinar so that you can at least get on-demand video if you're not able to make it. And another update is that we recently released the Anypoint Studio 7.10 version. With the new studio update, we're making developers to make sure that the metadata is flowing similar to what it was working for Mule 3. There was a lot of requests from the developer team, so we have made that changes to the studio. Before, when you're renaming the flows, the data was still, the flow names were not changing in some of the areas. So now with Studio 7.10, we are making it consistent across all the Mule flows. And there are some more updates. Please make sure that you update your Anypoint Studio. Check out everything. Okay, so let's jump in today's meetup. We have an exciting speaker. It's my privilege. I've worked with both the speakers today that we have on the call. I've known Leila for my entire tenure at MuleSoft. I have had the pleasure of working with her on a lot of accounts. And also Jeff, I've worked with him for the past 1.5 years, and it has been a privilege, and just I'm very happy to share with the community today what all achievements we have done with the MuleSoft platform. So I'm going to turn it over to Leila first to introduce herself, and then over to you, Jeff.
Perfect. Thanks, Sandeep. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining today. As Sandeep mentioned, I am a customer success manager based out of the New York City area. Been with MuleSoft for about 5 years now, and I am supporting customers pretty much exclusively in the healthcare and life sciences space at present. So I've had the opportunity to work closely with Jeff and his team at Bayer for a little over a year now since they came on board as a MuleSoft customer. It's been a great experience, and I think they've done a lot of great work. So excited for him to be able to share a little bit with you all today on kind of the journey that they've been on, you know, what they've been able to achieve, and also kind of what they're thinking about going forward. So I'll turn it over to Jeff to introduce himself, and then we're going to kick off a panel discussion.
Okay, great. Thank you, Layla. Hello, everyone. My name is Geoff Hickman, and I'm based out of the St. Louis area. I've been with Bayer for a little over 10 years now, holding different roles across delivery and support, engineering, and architecture. But for the past 5 years or so, I've been involved in our Salesforce ecosystem, and I currently lead our DevOps and integration platform teams within the Salesforce space. As Layla and Sandeep have mentioned, we started our MuleSoft journey about 1.5 years ago. I think our contract started maybe about a year ago now, and it's been an incredible run, and definitely looking forward to the future. Layla, Sandeep, and the rest of the team are great to work with, so it's been a very positive experience to this point, and definitely excited for the future.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeff.
Perfect.
All right,
so Layla, I'm going to stop sharing and I'll turn it
Sure.
over to you so we can begin our interview. Okay.
Sounds good. Yeah,
All
to
right.
start off, Jeff, would you mind sharing a little bit about or some background on Bayer's business, just for those who might not be as familiar?
Sure. Yeah. So I work for Bayer Crop Science. As you know, Bayer is a big company, but Crop Science is the particular division that I work in, and it's the agricultural and environmental science arm of Bayer. The foundation of our business is scientific discovery, research, and development organization for integrated solutions that help farmers and the communities basically, to feed our planet. Bayer works to develop seeds and traits through different breeding techniques that provide farmers with solutions to combat, environmental challenges such as pests, disease, drought, while also providing, consumers with a lot of different choices. We are also involved in a lot of areas of data science and predictive analytics. We use platforms that integrate data with farm equipment, satellites, sensors, irrigation systems, and other sources to help provide farmers with the data to make the best decisions for their crops and their fields to get the yield that they're looking for. Crop protection is another area that Bayer heavily depends on data science for. We're always trying to determine new methods to ensure farmers have the most effective and environmentally sustainable tools to grow enough while using fewer natural resources. So, those are the main areas that the Bayer Crop Science is involved in.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And I guess more specific to kind of you and your world at Crop Science, what did the landscape really look like before MuleSoft came into the picture?
Yeah. So, we really brought in, MuleSoft to help us with our Salesforce integration and that ecosystem as a whole. So, Salesforce at Bayer has grown organically into a large, a very diverse ecosystem that spans multiple production organizations across the globe. Salesforce is not used in a vacuum. It's integrated with, mobile applications, data repositories, and of course our ERP system, SAP. Integration between these different components, require the development of a custom integration pipeline that utilized AWS services and a third-party backup and restoration tool. And this pipeline, really became costly to manage, operate, and develop on and enhance efficiently. The choice to maintain this custom-built platform, would have required development resources to refactor the pipelines to be more fault-tolerant, more scalable. Enhancements would have been needed to improve visibility to pipeline status and key performance indicators. In addition, staffing and an engineering team will need to be maintained to feed and care for this custom platform. And it was really, we were at a spot where, we no longer wanted to be in that business. So, MuleSoft provided the framework to modernize our, our platform for Salesforce, as well as increase our speed and market. So, in addition, our maintenance and support costs, they've definitely lowered. And our integration architecture is now more future-proof. Instead of having a lot of point-to-point integrations and custom-built code to have some baling wire to bring these platforms together, MuleSoft, provides that point-and-click interface and the readily available connectors for us to easily integrate, with the major platforms. And on top of that, the single pane of glass visibility for logging, monitoring, KPIs, analytics, you name it, resource management. It was easy to implement with the out of the box patterns. And for any role in our organization, MuleSoft just has that single pane of glass where anybody can go to and get the information they need and manage their products. So it was really a great product for us so far.
Awesome. Appreciate you sharing all that. And you kind of alluded to this already around some of the, technical challenges and pain points you were facing. Were there any other like more business oriented problems that, that legacy homegrown kind of solution was impacting, or anything else that really made it clear that you needed to kind of change your integration strategy?
Due to some of the, the technical challenges definitely led to some business challenges. Our old pipeline, there was definitely some areas that were single threaded, and that backed up jobs that when faults would happen, jobs would get backed up, and therefore it would impact the business. So we were starting to get a lot of concern from the business, so we knew we needed to pivot. We knew our current platform, like I talked about before, is going to be a challenge making it compatible going forward. There's no easy out of box integration with our system. So with the idea that change was going to be costly for that system, it was very easy to convince our business counterparts that we needed to make a change. And with MuleSoft being that all-in-one solution and the leader in this area, it's been nothing but positive benefits from the business side.
Great. Yeah, totally makes sense. And in your opinion, what were some of the key steps that you took to ensure a strong foundation was set for MuleSoft right off the bat?
Honestly, Layla, you guys helped, set that precedent. Your customer success team, Drew and the account team, you guys provided us the blueprint to make sure that we followed the best practices, that we had a strong partnership with our implementation team, which is Cognizant. In addition, we actually brought in a MuleSoft architect to help us with our initial implementation, and he was with us for about 3 months, and he was invaluable in making sure that we had somebody day to day, since you guys obviously have other accounts and couldn't help us day in and day out. But Leo was very beneficial and helpful with us to make sure that we followed the best practices going forward. In addition, through your training portal, the self-paced and instructor-led CBTs were very beneficial to us, being new to MuleSoft and not having that expertise with the platform, and with especially a lot of those being free, we're able to spread that out across our team, and our developers who are new to MuleSoft or just need that refresher are very easily able to get up to speed. And on top of that, in addition to the customer success team, there's Greg and his KPI team that was able to come in and help us lay the foundation for our KPI framework going forward. So, just being engaged with you and just basically listening to the advice that you guys have provided is what allowed us to be successful to this point.
Great. Well, we definitely appreciate that. And likewise, I know that, it takes two. So you've definitely been leaning in and really open to our best practices and been a great partner. So I think, yeah, it's worked out really well for both sides, definitely. All right. And this is something that customers, I think, are always interested in terms of, how fast were you actually able to go live with your first set of APIs? I know that some projects are more complex than others, but, for your initial use case, how long did that take?
I think we brought in, we signed the contract at the end of July, started working with it at the beginning of August. And, word of mouth was already spreading around the enterprise. And, I think within the first week before we were able to set a lot of our foundational pieces, we were already engaged to work on a POC for a project. And I think once we got our requirements, it took us about 3 days to have a working application for them, which is something that, at least would have taken a full sprint, if not 2 sprints, with our legacy platform. So it was both good and bad. We were unable to get all the foundational pieces in place like we wanted to, and take our time. Real quickly. The word is spread, and we were inundated with requests to help with projects. But it was real good to produce the value right off the front to show everybody, the real value of this platform. And that was a great starting point for us to deliver on that quick and have that quick win. Yeah,
definitely. I hear what you're saying. It's good to have the quick wins, but I think a lot of people are in that situation where as soon as people hear that there's a platform like MuleSoft, they just want to get, things built on it. And but I think over time you've been able to kind of set that foundation now in parallel, and you have kind of a much more robust and stable platform that's ready for other teams to kind of take advantage of. And since it has been, a little over a year now, what do you think the impact has been on your business, having brought MuleSoft in and been able to deliver, a number of use cases now? What's been the impact to, the business?
I mean, honestly, and kind of always go back to this. It's just the reduced time to market. The ability to accelerate our development, through the use of the reusable components, through the predefined workflows and templates that and all the content that MuleSoft provides out of the box. The different connectors to, we're obviously a big Salesforce user, so having those connectors right off the bat and not having to worry about how we were going to do that with this app. I mean, that really has been the benefit. So time to market, accelerating our development. Can't really talk more about that. I know kind of keep coming back to that central theme.
Yeah.
But that was really the value proposition for how we brought in MuleSoft, and it hasn't disappointed. It really hasn't.
Great. Yeah, I mean, that's the goal. So it's great to hear that you're seeing that, and hopefully other customers are as well. So you touched on this a little bit. You mentioned reusability. Obviously, that's a key kind of value proposition from the MuleSoft side. How do you think about reusability and consumption of the APIs that you've built to date and then are planning to build going forward?
Yeah. So from a reusability standpoint, we were able to kind of stock our component library, in exchange, because our migration from our legacy platform to MuleSoft, allowed us to touch on a lot of areas, which we were able to create those reusable system APIs. So with those system APIs already created, it jump started. And going back to that theme again, it jump started our development on new projects, and we continue to reuse these same components that we migrated over with every new project. So it's just that jump start for every project that we're already in a good place is very, very good, and very gives us peace of mind knowing that we can deliver on time. Because before, when it comes to integration, sometimes with our team, sometimes we're the last to know, or there are changes upstream that affects the timeline, but yet the project still needs to be delivered on time.
Mm-hmm.
So we were forced to crunch and develop faster. But by having these reusable components now, compared to our legacy platform, we're still able to make those timelines instead of being the bottleneck in the overall process.
Yeah, that really makes sense. And you've shared a lot of great wins that you've had. You've talked a lot about kind of the impact it's had, the speed you've gained. But I'm sure it wasn't all, rosy the whole time. So I think people would definitely be interested in hearing, what are some of the challenges maybe that you ran into, whether it was, around onboarding MuleSoft or even just trying to drive this new kind of API-led, reuse-first approach.
Yeah. So, with the API-led architecture and the three tiers, you being the experience, process, and system, there's obviously, cost for design, implementation, and testing of those APIs. And when you do a promotion, you have to do it across all three APIs. So there's definitely cost and time involved in that. But it is worth it. We do have some pushback. Still we have healthy discussions on, whether we should do something, whether we should implement a system API for something, or just call that source, platform from the process API. And we continue to this day to still go back and forth on that. But and obviously another thing too is the run cost for every application. Making sure that we use our cores efficiently, and that we're we have high availability where we need it, and we have applicable resources, and they are not wasted. Another thing too is convincing people that the performance costs associated with having the three tiers, going through those three different layers, is worth it for future-proofing our architecture and making sure that there are reusable components. Maintenance costs for bug bug fixes across those 3 APIs is something that's come up. But, with all these different concerns, after you get through those initial hurdles and you buy into the philosophy and you've built up your catalog of reusable components, you really start to see the benefits and value from it. So while there may be some initial concerns at the beginning, definitely you reap the rewards if you buy into it.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm sure everyone's seen similar, challenges in trying to get this started. I think that's very, very normal. So thank you for sharing that. What advice do you have for others who are trying to, accelerate their delivery and get more value from the MuleSoft platform? Since you've been able to do that a good deal in your first year, anything that you'd share with others that are kind of along that journey as well?
The relationship that we've built with you guys and the account team has been very beneficial for us, and leveraging that to especially when we were novices to this platform. So leveraging that relationship to determine complexity and and effort estimation for our upcoming projects was very beneficial, because coming into it with a different mindset as opposed to the API led mindset, we would have been going down the wrong path with a shiny new tool and using it incorrectly. So leveraging that relationship and you constantly checking in with us was very beneficial. So make sure that you take advantage of that. Drive reusability of APIs across your enterprise. If people don't know about them or know how to discover them, then you will start to see that redundancy or duplicate APIs or an API isn't used just for one intended purpose. Outline the key lifecycle elements of your API, like possibly like who is the owner, the frequency of its usage and when it's used. At Bayer Crop Science, we are a very seasonal business, so there are certain APIs that may be used during the harvesting season as opposed to the planting season. So having those types of metadata for the APIs is very helpful on when they are key and when they are crucial. Identifying operational and monitoring requirements. Sandeep has been very helpful in pointing out ways that we can do that within the Anypoint platform and how that is used. So and then on top of it is just network and communicate about the platform internally in your enterprise. Internal tech talks, newsletters, things like that. Your team is also very good about giving ideas on how to do that, templates to make sure that we convey ideas accurately. And it's not just upcoming platform changes, but also like communicate what those APIs are and make sure they are in a place that people see, and you onboard your developers and they know about these different repositories from the very beginning is very beneficial. But I think a lot of this is common sense, but sometimes it's just just keep things simple, and it'll be just fine.
Yeah, no, I think that last point about kind of the communication internally and the evangelism, because if you're not getting that consumption of what you're building, right, you're not going to see as much value over time. So I think that part's really critical. Well, okay, I have just one more question for you, Jeff. We've shared a lot about the journey to date. What would you say the future of MuleSoft at Bayer looks like, within crop science or beyond?
Yeah, so when we initially brought in MuleSoft, it was for a very narrow scope or a narrow use case for us, and API management and the API platform was kind of out of scope for us. But with the positive feedback that MuleSoft has gotten, and the value that MuleSoft has shown within the enterprise, the enterprise has made the decision to go forward and invest more into MuleSoft. So, we are bringing in the API management and API platform capabilities, and it's going to be used across the enterprise, not just within crop science, but across the other divisions in pharmaceuticals and consumer health. So, Bayer has taken the big step of investing in MuleSoft, countering the investment that MuleSoft made into Bayer with, your guys' time. So, I see that nothing but MuleSoft just growing. And with us being a heavy user of Salesforce, MuleSoft will definitely be a first-class citizen when it comes to Salesforce, getting updates to their connectors right away, things like that. So I think it's going to be a very fruitful relationship going forward for us to stick with MuleSoft.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, we're very excited about, everything that we're going to be able to work on going forward. It's been a great partnership to date. And thank you so much for kind of taking the time to answer some questions. I'm sure it was very helpful for a lot of the folks on the line. And now I'd want to kind of turn it over to you to dig even deeper a little bit into some of the use cases that you've worked on. So I'll hand it over to you, Jeff, if you want to share your screen and take the folks through.
Let me try that.
If anyone has, feel free to post it in the chat, and we'll ask him at the end of the session.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So, the use case described here is one of many similar cases that we deal with in integration between Salesforce and our legacy platforms that exist throughout our global ecosystem. As Bayer consolidates the tools and platforms that are used, there will be times when teams will need to coordinate their work amongst their regional tools and our global solutions. The listed challenges, both pre-MuleSoft and the outcomes after MuleSoft can easily be applied to all of our legacy integrations, that were deployed on our previous platform. This particular use case, it deals with service cases that are both worked in Salesforce and a legacy internal service platform. So there are two different teams working on the same service case, and they need to be able to sync their records back and forth. And this syncing includes not only data about the case, but also attachments. So there's a lot of things moving back and forth, and they need to be made sure that they're in sync so both teams can do their work efficiently. So prior to MuleSoft, it was very difficult to track and trace transaction errors. If there was an update to the case in Salesforce that didn't flow to the corresponding case in the legacy platform, it caused issues for support. It caused issues on the service side, making sure that the customer was being taken care of. So whenever with any business, if the customer isn't being taken care of, or if there's drops in how that customer is handled, it's not good for anybody. Race conditions became an issue as well. As I mentioned earlier, our legacy pipeline, it had some issues with fault tolerance and retries. So there were times where updates would overwrite in the incorrect order. In addition, scalability. We were unable to process records as quickly as needed by the business. So these were all challenges, like I said, that could be applied to every previous integration that we had. And after we brought in MuleSoft, we quickly saw a different outcome. I can't harp on this enough. Just the ability and time to reduce our development efforts has just been unbelievable. With our previous platform, it was a very specialized skill set, since it was a custom built platform to manage and operate it and develop on. So with MuleSoft having such a broad community of developers, and their training system being very intuitive, so new developers or existing developers could learn MuleSoft quickly and get up to speed, has helped us immensely, because it was very challenging to hire developers out of the market and immediately have them become efficient on our old platform. It took several months to get them up to speed before. The single pane of glass to monitor and report on each transaction, and to see it go through the different components. I apologize if you hear my dog in the background. But that single pane of glass is very important for everybody. So we were constantly fielding requests from product teams, business owners. What happened with this particular transaction, and it was a very and there's only a few engineers that were able to trace that through the different systems, go through the logs, and produce the results. But with MuleSoft, we were able to provide access to different types of roles, so they can get the answers that they need without having to come through a specialized team to capture those results for them. So, MuleSoft has definitely alleviated a lot of headaches, and it's just been a godsend, to be honest. Scalability with our other pipeline, even though it was on AWS, the engineering of it, we knew needed to be refactored. But just by shifting to MuleSoft and the Cloud Hub specifically, we no longer have to worry about managing infrastructure. MuleSoft does that for us in Cloud Hub. And I know that Cloud Hub isn't for everybody, and other teams may choose like Runtime Fabric or some type of other on-premise implementation. But for us, not having to manage AWS resources, not having to staff that skill set, was very advantageous for us, and it's something that we didn't have to worry about anymore, and we can just focus on the MuleSoft development. So let me. So this particular application is pretty simple. We did not have an experienced layer. We just stuck with the process and system layers in this particular use case. And essentially what would happen is, there would be a case created on either the Salesforce side or the legacy platform side, and that case would trigger an event that would be listened to by our MuleSoft application. MuleSoft would capture that event, apply any transformation or system mapping that is needed in order to map the different fields together between the systems, and then look for a corresponding record in the target destination. And if that wasn't there, it would create a new record and send that response back to the source target, or it would do an update. So we needed to make sure that we handled upserts correctly. And MuleSoft, with all of its different Salesforce connectors and functionality, provided a connector out of the box that was able to allow us to either insert or update records very efficiently. That was something in our legacy platform that was always a struggle for us to manage. We devised a number of different matrices to help us keep track of both what the unique identifier is in Salesforce and what the external identifier is in that legacy platform, and keep that mapping together. But MuleSoft allowed us to be able to handle that very seamlessly and out of the box, which was very, very surprising. We thought that was going to definitely be a component that we had to hold over from our legacy platform was our ID matrices, but MuleSoft allowed us to eliminate that. So on top of MuleSoft allowing us to move on from our current structure, it's also allowed us to save on infrastructure costs on existing components that we thought we needed to hold over. So very, very beneficial. So this next slide here is just kind of your process flow, kind of going over the various processes that happen. And like I said, this is a very simple example, just moving support cases back and forth, and the associated attachments or pictures or videos that came along with that, to make sure that they were synced properly between the source and target destination. So in the original development on our legacy platform, this whole application, as simple as it looks right now, took about 8 months to develop. So when we brought in MuleSoft, we decided to take what we learned. We had the requirements finalized, and once we put a developer on it, one developer was able to go through this and get it tested and developed within a couple of sprints. So the time to market was severely reduced, and I keep on going back to that speed to market. No matter the cost of MuleSoft, it is not inexpensive. MuleSoft definitely is is not inexpensive, but you get a lot of value from it. Like you definitely, all of the features, capabilities, the support, it makes the price worthwhile. And immediately when we saw the decrease in the time to develop this app, compared to what it was with a legacy platform, we knew we had a winner. And this was really the first application that we migrated from our legacy platform to MuleSoft. And once we saw the speed to market increase, like we were sold before, but we knew we made the right decision. Because at the time, after you purchase something new, like you still have a little bit of hesitation. You need to make sure it's working. But this gave us all the confidence to go forward. And now, we've moved beyond these these ETL jobs. Now we are doing more of the traditional 3-tier architectures with other platforms. Now we are starting to we're starting up a project where we're going to be integrating Salesforce with SAP, and this is something that project teams would not have come to us before. They would not have had confidence in our legacy platform to do these types of integrations in the timeline that they set forth. But with the value and success that we have shown, and the improvement on our legacy apps once they migrated over to MuleSoft, there's a renewed confidence in the integration platform, and it's really all thanks to MuleSoft. I know I probably went over that a little bit more quickly than I intended to. Kind of talking faster than how I practice. But Layla and Sandeep, if there are any questions about this, I'm happy to go into more examples or answer any questions.
Thank you, Jeff. I think this was a very good use case, just to show how fast you are achieving your business outcomes, right? There is one question in chat, Jeff. It's from Tony, and it's mostly around, was there any apprehension from the developers in your organization to adopt MuleSoft product side? So you mentioned you had implementation partner Cognizant, but with the new future use cases that you're looking forward to, do you see any of those apprehensions?
So I don't see any apprehension, and in fact, we are looking to decentralize from our current state. Right now we have one team that's doing a lot of this integration development work, and we're looking to decentralize that across our various product teams, and those product teams are being trained on MuleSoft right now. They're getting up to speed, so they're excited about. So there isn't. I wouldn't say that there was apprehension at first, but now, with the integration platform no longer being the bottleneck for projects or being the cause of project delays, there's more and more people that want to learn MuleSoft and they want to do it more upstream. As we build those reusable components, they can put the Legos together and build their integrations upstream and never have to involve our team. And that's really the state that we're getting to. So I think that there's a lot of excitement around MuleSoft. The product teams want to learn it. They're ramping up their skill sets on the Cognizant side. So I think hopefully we get to that state here in the future, and integrations will just be something that the individual product teams will be able to handle going forward.
Perfect. Thank you, Jeff. And I think you also kind of touched on some of the other things that have helped you, right? Some of the self-paced trainings, the newsletters, the brown bag sessions working with the MuleSoft product team, and also the tech talks that we did with various LOBs. I think that also contributed to some of making sure that everybody is comfortable with the platform. So that's good to know.
Yeah, and then before we even brought in the platform, MuleSoft, you guys did a value assessment. Basically came in and talked to various stakeholders and leaders and got their feedback on what the existing concerns are, and you guys were able to succinctly say, this is how MuleSoft can provide you value. This is how much the savings will be. Some of it may have been a little we haven't realized yet, but definitely a lot what was in that assessment has come true. So that was something that very early on, before we made the commitment, gave a lot of people peace of mind.
Great. So we have another question that just came in. It's from Shiva, and he's asking, what tools are you using for monitoring deep level logs, redacted logs, without going into the app?
So right now, we will be sending stuff to Splunk. So we have APIs within our workflows that are called to send logs to Splunk right now, but we do utilize a lot of the logs within the Anypoint platform. But Splunk is the future state of where we'll be doing a lot of our deep dive log analysis.
Got it. Thank you, Jeff. There's one more question from Tony. Have you folks looked at the Mule4 XML SDK to create reusable connectors? Did you? Yeah.
So I'm not too sure about that. That has not come up in our backlog calls. But that, you know, Tony, honestly, there are a lot of smarter people than I am that are on the team and have more familiarity. I'm still one of those MuleSoft novices, still learning as much as I can all the time. But that is definitely something that you know, after this, I will look into.
Thanks. You're being too modest, Jeff. You're doing great there. So
Sandeep, I'm really sorry. Just give me one moment. I need to plug in real quick. I'm so sorry.
Okay. Yep.
But I can keep talking. I just wanted to,
Sure.
as I go by my dogs, I didn't want them to jump out.
Sure. So there is one more question, Jeff, from Aman. How do you plan your vCode usage for different different initiatives that you have?
Okay.
Okay.
So I switched back to my wife's sewing room. So our vCore usage. So we try to be as efficient as possible with that because you know everybody has a budget that they have to work under. So you know we at the very beginning we did an exercise with our account sales engineer, and we went through a template that looked at our various you know APIs that we wanted to build, what the usage was going to be, what the the volume of data, how often they'd be used, and through that we were able to get a pretty accurate estimate on the number of vCores we would use. And until this point, like it's been very accurate, and that's what we've been following. And it's the cores that we initially purchased and renewed, it's going to take us through the time that we estimated. And we're already in discussions with our product teams for what the future is going to look like for next year, and secured some vCores in advance of that. But we try to right size. If it's a new project, we start at the bare minimum, and we try to right size from there. And we have several different things that we consider. If it's high availability, or if this is something, if it runs, we don't care about if it fails or not, it can retry later. There's all kinds of considerations that we go through.
Great. Thanks, Jeff. Does that answer your question, Aman? Yep. Any more questions? Just give a minute for folks to ask. Okay, going 1, 2, and 3. We're done. Okay, so I want to say a big thank you to you, Jeff. I know we had a logistical challenges for the last couple of times, but I really appreciate you taking the time and talking to the community today. It is great to know, how MuleSoft is playing a big part in your business outcomes today. And also for all of you who tuned in today, we will record this session. And also thank you, and take care, be safe, and have a good evening or day or weekend. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Sandeep. Thank you, Leah.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
everybody.
Bye.